What's up, jazz guitar friends? I was almost going to scat there, but I opted out. Hey, it's your jazz guitar buddy, Larry Tamanini here with Jazz Guitar Under 5 Minutes, and I'm here today to talk about some things that you can do to help out your comping. I was just playing Alone Together, and I was comping through the first A section. I oftentimes like to use songs to illustrate how to apply concepts in different ways to practice, and some ideas to get better at what we're all trying to do, play jazz guitar, right? So when I have students that come to me that tell me they're having a hard time playing and comping jazz guitar, 90% of the time is usually because the student has not internalized form or completely understands song structure. Because in many ways, it's easier to solo than it is to comp for somebody because you have to listen. When you're soloing, especially with a great band, they're all listening to you, so maybe some of your mistakes get glanced over. I know for a fact, having the opportunity to play at Ortlieb's with a great rhythm section, Mike Boone, Byron Landham, Sid Simmons, it was like a magic eraser. Oftentimes Mike would yell at me when I would turn the form around, which is a lot in the beginning. You never want to be that guy, so it was really important to me to be able to be in a good situation so I could comp and not always have to depend on an incredible rhythm section that would be willing to bail me out. The worst thing that can happen is when you just get completely run over and they'll just give up on you and you're kind of embarrassed. So there's no place for that on the bandstand. You have to know the song and you have to be able to hold the song. So how do I practice form? Just like what I did there, I comped for myself. I wanted to make sure I could get to the bridge by myself. So a couple things that really help me out when I comp, and a few things that I like to do. When students are starting to comp, they're going to play on one, and if there's a chord change with 2 beats each, they're going to play on 1 and 3. There's a way to do that and sound okay, but generally you hear people play like stabby kind of chords. So the next thing we're going to bring in is the dynamics, because when we're comping for somebody, we're having a conversation. When you're playing chords like that, it's almost like an interjection. They're trying to tell a story and you're interrupting them mid-sentence. So they're not going to be able to get that story out. So let's try to tone down our volume and our intensity to coincide with the soloist is going to be number 1. So starting out, everything's pretty cool. And instead of playing those staccato block chords, we can really get a lot by just using some space, or maybe just using the 5th. The next step would be, I like to slide in and out of the chords. I think it really adds to the swing element. Probably really tough to do on a piano, but it seems like that's what's going on when I hear a lot of the great piano accompanists that I like. I also want to try to get some good voice leading happening. So a majority of this song is around this D minor chord and this minor 2-5. So a line that I like to play really off this E minor 7 flat 5, and I'm going to have my A on top. So through that 2-5, I might play a line like, the next next time, what I did, I slightly altered that, and instead of going to my A7 here, I wanted this line to go up. So I played this C sharp diminished because it reflects an A7, the 5 sound. Pretty cool little idea. Some people call that a Barry Harris method. To me, you're just extending a 5 chord. I like to keep it really simple. And the next step is getting some open string ideas and mixing it all together. But the idea of having a simple idea, we don't want to overplay, right? Our job is to be accompanying somebody. So I'm hearing this imaginary solo going on in my head, and maybe I'm trying to play part of it too. Another thing I like to do is just use my root, especially if there's no bass player. I'm just using my root and my third. In this case, I guess you would call it a 10th. But just those 2 notes is very powerful and gets a really broad sound out of just 2 notes and gives the soloist quite a bit of stuff to do, especially over those dominant chords. So once I throw all those ideas together, chords that are solid blocks, chords that are broken up, voice leading ideas, and then just getting a root and a 10th. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in there while you're trying to hold the form that is really going to help you become a better comper. And like I said before, sometimes it's easier to solo than to comp because you really have to play. You're sort of on an island too, and you're having this conversation. So you want to make it easier for the other player to tell their story. Try not to jump in with, stabby chords. And also, don't lose the form, because that means you're not paying attention. I'm telling the story, and you're like thinking about the Eagles-Seahawks game tonight, that the Eagles are going to win. Go Birds. That being said, keep swinging, keep working on your comping. Thank you for all the amazing support. I'll be back. Bebop.